Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. Aquadam.net. Give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, having to deal with the insurance company, not to mention the memories that are lost that you can never replace. To those who live in flood-prone and hurricane-prone areas, which is just around the corner, prepare now. Hurricane season is right around the corner. Visit Aquadam.net to see how they can help you prepare to avoid flood damage this season and every season thereafter. An Aquadam could be another tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. A cofferdam, using water to control water, that can protect your home, your business, your church, your neighborhood, like a dam, but without the beavers. Give Aquadam a call at 707-764-2119, 707-764-2119, or look them up online at aquadam.net. They're also on Facebook at Aquadam Inc., or call or email them today. They can help you out. Give them a call. Tell them Opperman Report sent you. Opperman Report, that's 10% off the price to anyone who mentions the Opperman Report.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, and welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting, either through my website, emailrevealer.com, which I hardly ever check that email, by the way. So I just got an email there tonight from someone from the show. Or you can email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com if you're looking to get a hold of me for PI work. If you like our show, be sure and check out our free archives at Spreaker.com. You go to Spreaker.com. I'm broadcasting to you live exclusively from Spreaker.com tonight. January 1st, 2021. Never again will we say 2020. the year that shall not be named. You know what I'm saying, man? Kids, I got a little scare myself with the COVID thing this week. I'll tell you if I have time at the end of the show. But there's a chat room, and there's you get an email notification when new content goes up. You can search the old shows. There were about 1,700 hours of content up there. And by the way, that's the only advertising I get paid for. Any ads on YouTube or anything like that, I don't get paid for that. So don't share the YouTube video or share the Spreaker show. But if you like the show, if you want to support the show, we have additional content on the Opperman Report Patreon. And there's different tiers on there where you could sign up for $3. You can sign up, you get ad-free content. All the shows you hear right now, you can get for free. No, for $3 for ad-free. Then we have a section where we put up the old member section shows. That's $5 a month. And for $10 a month, we have the brand new exclusive content that only goes to Patreon. I put up 2 shows there that are going up tomorrow night. The Life of Elon Musk, the failed Lynn Wood lawsuit. And also to include a recent lawsuit that Lynn Wood was sued by his former employees and partners. And there is some incredible stuff in there, guys. We'll be talking about it tonight. So check that out. That's in the new section tomorrow. Content going up. And I'm going to start scheduling this stuff too where I can schedule it that we're going to have new content going up every day. Either these shows here we do without the ads or these other shows that I put up. And then coming up tomorrow night too as well, The Veiled Prophet. And this is about the Veiled Prophet Society and the Veiled Prophet Debutante Ball over there in St. Louis, Missouri. And it's one of the craziest stories you'll ever hear in your life. You can go there right now and look at the picture of the Veiled Prophet. So sort of like a Ku Klux Klan guy that was with the powerful and the elite down there in St. Louis. And you'll never believe, they have this thing where this woman, this child, young lady, is presented to the Veiled Prophet, okay? And she's the Queen of Beauty and Joy. And you know who was appointed the Queen of Beauty and Joy in 1999? Erin, the receptionist from The Office in real life, was chosen as the Queen of Beauty and Joy and sent to the produced to the Veiled Prophet to do as he wished, I guess. Fascinating. Okay, fascinating. You can't beat that kind of stuff, guys. I also uploaded to the public section in my Patreon the 270 Kraken report from Sidney Powell. You see, this is a female attorney, Sidney Powell. She's the attorney for Michael Flynn. And she's been always walking around with this binder full of evidence, and she was invited to the White House to present it to the president. They were in there for a couple hours. And then the word is, she came out and said, hey, and some reporters were reporting that Trump was going to appoint her to be a special counsel to investigate this fraud. Now, I've read the whole thing. There's nothing in there. It's all open source material that you can get from searching government websites and different agency reporting and investigating they did on overseas attempts on U.S. voter fraud. The first 20 pages is all about Iran. Trump doesn't need this woman to present him with that information because he should have staffers that he could say, hey, search this department here or my department here and give me a briefing. So why he would need, it just makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, not even a little bit of sense. But it's up there, you can read it yourself. And if you find something in there you think, hey, take a look at this. I'm open. I'll take a look. You got something good? You found something I didn't find? More than happy to see it. So just tip me off. Okay? Got some great stuff tonight on Geraldo Rivera, too, that people don't know about or aren't talking about yet. All right? So let's get to the notes. I interviewed a man named a Twitter guy named Artisan Loaf, and it's already uploaded into it's going up in the Patreon thing tomorrow. And as a sidebar, we're talking about this about Musk, this thing about Elon Musk. We're talking, and we're talking about this and that, and there's a sidebar, the name Lynn Wood comes up. And he starts talking about a defamation case that Lynn Wood filed on behalf of a client. Remember that whole thing with those kids that were diving in the cave in Thailand? And Musk started making some bizarre claims about the diver rescue guy being a pedophile, calling him a pedo guy. Well, on the surface, most people think that's what the lawsuit was about. But I actually saw an email that Musk had sent to BuzzFeed, and he put in the subject line, "off the record," but then he put in there some really outrageous allegations against this diver, and so the diver came into contact with Lynn Wood, and they filed a suit against Assange. And from my experience in these things, it would seem to me that Elon Musk, that Elon Musk would have settled this case. But no, he hired a team of attorneys, he went to court, and somehow he won, when clearly he was guilty. He was negligent. He was liable for what he did, for these remarks that he made. But he got away with it. Because I guess some people might say that perhaps Lynn Wood dropped the ball. Okay, so I'll upload that interview to Patreon. But never in my wildest dreams would I imagine that shortly after uploading that interview, I would come across a complaint and lawsuit written by Lynn Wood's former law partners that just hit the presses. I have it, by the way. I uploaded it in this interview, but I'm going to put in a special section too for free for everybody. But right now it's in that section with this show we're doing about Elon Musk. Now, if you read this lawsuit, it's incredible. His former law partners and law staff all left. They left him. Okay. And one of the reasons why they say they left him, to start their own firm, is because, he would attack them. There were a couple of occasions where he attacked a person in an elevator, and then later on apologized and says, you're right, there's no reason why I should have done that. It's uncalled for. I have no reason why I did it. And then he started referring to himself as possibly the second coming of Christ. That he is the second Jesus Christ come to earth as a flawed man, in order to make some of the... It's all written down in there. And the thing is, they can put this in there because they're pointing to tape recordings they have of him saying these things and admitting these things. One of them is a voicemail recording that he left for one of the attorneys. It comes off portraying Mr. Lynn Wood, who is, by the way, a very successful attorney. He was the attorney for JonBenet Ramsey, for the Ramsey family, where they sued the tabloids and won. He was the attorney for that little kid with the MAGA hat, with the Indians were having the Native Americans were having their ceremony, and he came and was smiling there. Got that kid a ton of money. Now Lynn Wood is a pro-Trump lawyer who's running around suing states and board of elections and stuff like that, trying to do who knows what. But he's filing these lawsuits, and Trump is retweeting him. Trump is quoting him. Okay. Now, what is the other one? The one where he's accused of the infidelity. I forgot to write that down. Mark Meadows. Okay. Over the past few days, Lynn Wood, his Twitter account is LLINWOOD, and you got to sign up. You got to sign up there tonight because it's unbelievable what the guy's saying on there. A few days ago, he starts accusing Mark Meadows because it seems like when Sidney Powell was going to get that gig as special counsel, people like Mark Meadows wouldn't let her back into the White House to sign the papers or anything like that. Who knows what's going on with this bunch. But Lynn Wood starts accusing Mark Meadows of having an affair on Twitter. New Year's Eve. Woohoo! Happy New Year! This one's having an affair. Okay, this is what's going on here. Okay, now who knows, man? He's up all night. Who knows what's going on? But today, New Year's Day, he starts calling for the arrest and execution of Vice President Mike Pence. He's calling for the arrest and execution of Mitch McConnell for treason. This is a guy that's been retweeted by President Trump. This is a guy that's been recently quoting Linwood, and when Linwood was calling for the resignation of Kemp, now he's calling for executions, firing squads. Line them up, folks. They're going to blast them all down. And he quotes the Bible and stuff, and he's very prolific and flowery in his writing and his posting. It's very worth following. Now, in the past few days, okay, he posts that there was two of them. I'm going to forget. But one, he says that Epstein is still alive. Okay, you can ask him. Ask Epstein. He's still alive. And today he starts posting about Isaac Cappy holding all the secrets. Isaac Cappy, that nut, that fraud, was holding all the secrets before he was killed. This is, Revolution Radio type stuff. This is, crackpot stuff, man. Isaac Cappy was holding all the secrets, and I have the key to those secrets. Okay, so this guy is just totally... No, here's the other one. He was the origin. Linwood, this guy who's calling for executions, this guy's who's calling for the arrest of the Vice President of the United States of America, this guy who's now is endorsing Isaac Cappy. This guy, okay, said that Justice Roberts was an associate of Epstein. I think there was a guy with a similar name on one of the flight logs, or one of the fake flight logs, because there's a list of fake flight logs out there now with Epstein. And the thing is, too, with Epstein, forget the flights, forget the logs, forget it all. It doesn't matter. All of this stuff happened in Manhattan, and stuff happened in Palm Beach, the stuff happened in New Mexico. Not everything happened on the island. That you had to go to the island in order to partake in it, or you had to be on an airplane to do this stuff. But he's anyway. So anyway, he's the one, the origin of claiming that Justice Roberts was associated with Epstein. I believe he said it was on the plane. But you can look that up, and there is no other corroborating source that can verify that accusation. And now look at the source of it. The guy's just totally out of his mind. And that's not me saying it. This is his law partner saying it. Okay? And I don't know, man. If you think this would be headline news, where an attorney who's representing the interests of the President of the United States of America is calling for executions, calling for arrests, endorsing the internet crackpots, One of that was sent to me. By the way, Isaac Cappy, when he first arrived on the scene, I checked him out, okay? And there was an incident where, this is before he ever went public, where he was being followed, and people were following him and trying to poison him and this and that, and he got a whole grab some cops. And the guy had himself voluntarily committed to a psychiatric institution. So this is where Isaac Cappy himself felt of his own personal abilities and competency. I saw nothing new that came out of Cappy that was verified or legitimate information, okay? He repeated a lot of old stuff, and then he would do these bizarre things where he would do a YouTube video and sing, brackets, jackets, jackets, brackets. So-and-so is a pedophile. What the hell is that, man? It's nonsense. It's garbage, man. Okay, and it's an insult to anybody who's out here doing real work and involved in real stuff. Okay, now, one of the reasons why I tell you about all this, because a friend of mine posted this thing about Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo Rivera. Right? About Geraldo Rivera, he says, I'm fed up with Trump and I no longer endorse him, right? His old buddy from Studio 54 days, okay, Geraldo Rivera and Donald Trump, right? And she was unaware that Geraldo Rivera had just recently tweeted in defense of Ghislaine Maxwell, saying that Maxwell would be out on bail if the SDNY was not afraid of the New York Post. So now he's endorsing Maxwell. In the past, he had things to say about Matt Lauer and Who's the other one? Weinstein. Well, these are old allegations. I think it should be a higher level. Okay. Now, Geraldo's had an interesting life, okay? And I've had my eye on him since my days in the Bronx when he was an attorney and advocate for the Young Lords, which was a group that was like the Puerto Rican Black Panther Party for self-defense in the Bronx, okay? And since I was a Cuban kid in the Bronx, all my friends were Puerto Rican, we looked up to this group. Now, somehow, Geraldo Rivera found himself as an anti-poverty lawyer in the Bronx, which basically means he's filling out food stamp applications and he's helping people with trying to get Medicare and that kind of stuff. That's what an anti-poverty lawyer does, okay? Helping with people with evictions. Being evicted, he helps you out. Okay, and they get grants to run their little operation, right? Somehow he got from there to owning his own island, owning his own newspaper, living in mansions. Right now he lives in Shaker Heights, close to Leslie Wexner runs Ohio, okay? And he's down there, moved 217, he moved to Ohio now, and suddenly defending Maxwell, okay? Hanging out with President Mr. Trump, hanging out with Adnan Khashoggi, Studio 54. How did this guy get from there to there, to here where he is today? Okay? And I think I have some answers for you. And I think I'm going to tell you some stuff about Geraldo Rivera you may not be aware of, because he wrote a book about it. In the 90s, he wrote a book about himself called Exposing Myself. Okay? Now, we know that when he was working for the Young Lords, right, he was interviewed on local WABC TV, and they made such a big impression on them that they offered him like a scholarship, okay? They offered him a gig on local ABC TV news, but he had no journalistic credentials. So they said, well, we're going to take care of that, okay? And we're going to go through the Ford Foundation, and we're going to send you to a Columbia University graduate school of journalism, okay, in 1970, under Fred Friendly. Remember Fred Friendly, the head of CBS, who was friends with the William R. Murrow, who came out of Air of America? No, America, what is that called? Yeah, Air of America. Yeah, Air of America was called. The CIA-backed news organization. Okay? And all of his intelligence connections. Right? Yeah, and then he goes around, Geraldo, he gets involved with ABC News locally, so I knew right away. I used to watch ABC News when I was a kid in the 70s. Right? And, let me see my timeline here. Okay, now, things all changed for Geraldo. See, he was on 2020. Right? 2020 was a new... I've been on 2020. I was a guest on 2020, but he was a host on 2020. An investigative journalist. So, oh no, I almost forgot. The reason why... Let me pull it back here, because there's a little kind of process church connection here. Where is that stuff? Okay, I skipped a bunch of stuff in my notes. Okay, because one thing is, when he was with the Young Lords, right? The Young Lords had a bunch of rising stars within their midst, in their leadership. One guy was Pablo Guzman, and another guy was Felipe Luciano. And both of these guys and Geraldo Rivera all got gigs in the media. It was as if they were being plugged out of this local activist thing, and hey, we're going to bribe you, the most charismatic guys out there. We're going to put you on BLS. We're going to put you on on the radio. We're going to put you on WABC TV. But no more of this talk about revolution, young men. No more of that. Now, how did Geraldo Rivera come to the attention such a big shot, national attention when he's on local WABC TV. Somehow he gets a hold of a stolen key to Willowbrook Psychiatric Center on Staten Island. Now, what was going on in there? He was able to cut in there with the key, I got the key, stolen key to get in. But he was also able to just walk right in with a film crew. And it was all dark in there. And it was, if you ever watch this documentary, it'll give you nightmares for years. Because all these poor little mentally challenged children, mostly, naked, in diapers and feces, rocking back and forth because they're getting no attention. It's dark in there. They're screaming. They're crying. Who knows, God else, what was going on in there, right? And, you could just imagine the people who would work there and allow that to go on and walk into work every day and not say a word to anybody, what other things they would be capable of doing at Willowbrook Psychiatric Institute, where, you remember, there's all those tunnels underneath where the homeless would be living there. And Andre Rand, who had those connections to the Process Church, he was down there and kidnapping little kids on Staten Island and taking them down. There was talk of satanic cults underneath there. But somehow all this is going on in here, and somehow Geraldo Rivera gets the key to go in there and film this. Okay? Now, well, Ed, that's a good thing. He exposed it. This is great, man. And they shut it down. They made great changes, and they cleaned it up, and and then finally they closed it down, and now we treat these children, and it's been affected different. Okay, was that his motive? I don't know. But what kind of guy was Geraldo Rivera? Well, we know from his own book that at the time he was in college. Let me give you one of the examples of Geraldo Rivera when he was in college. Early in the book, he recounts sexual experience with a strange, sad nymphomaniac his college roommate had brought home after she had spent the previous week servicing an entire frat house. His roommates decided to take turns having sex with her. She obliged. Now, he talks about how him and all his buddies had repeated sex with this poor lost woman, right? And now looking back, well, he would have rescued her, and she would have reminded him of her daughter, all this kind of stuff like that. He says it was demeaning, degrading, and dishonorable, and I was in the middle of it. And any of a conscience would have tried to talk some sense into this girl, but not me, not that. And then he writes, and quote unquote, a stiff dick has no conscience. Now, that's a pretty extreme, bold move to make, a statement to make, because I have one of those appendages attached to my body, and there's plenty of times I have a conscience, and I back away, and I make the wise decision. I'm not out of control. But Geraldo Rivera is confessing to us here that he's out of control, and he's willing to do things that are quite extreme. Okay? And somehow he had a key to that Willowbrook, where some extreme things were being done to those kids. But I started this off saying, how did Geraldo Rivera get from the young lords to owning his own island, owning his own helicopter, owning his own newspaper, hanging out with Adnan Khashoggi, Michael Jackson, and Donald Trump? How did that happen? Well, I've always suspected. I've always had a suspicion. See, because in 1985, Roone Arledge was running 2020. He was running ABC. And ABC News refused to air a segment about the Kennedy brothers, Robert Kennedy and Jack Kennedy, having sex with Marilyn Monroe and having an ongoing sexual relationship with Marilyn Monroe. and they refused to air that segment. And at the time, Mr. Geraldo Rivera resigns, and he says, I can't buck this system. I don't like the way this works, and it's not for me. I'm a real journalist. I have my standards, and this is below my standards because they won't release this information that we have about Kennedy's and Marilyn Monroe. By the way, too, previously, they let him run the Zapruder film. They had him come on with, was that Rodin, that guy, and Dick Gregory, okay? They came on, and they ran the Zapruder. He's the first guy to run the Zapruder film. He's the first guy to talk about AIDS on TV. But they wouldn't let him talk about the Kennedys, and he was outraged, and he left. Later on, he says, well, the reason why, in 2015, he says, the reason why they fired me is because I made a $200 donation to a nonpartisan mayoral race and candidate. And that's why I violated policy. But he left in 285 with information in his head about a relationship between the Kennedys and Marilyn Monroe. He had the information. Has he ever released it since then on another platform? He's aware of it now. Well, it was another reporter's segment, but bring her on as a guest. Hey, let's talk about that situation. What's your evidence about the Kennedys and this woman, Marilyn Monroe? What do you know? I remember what you told me at the time. I remember the reports you showed me. I have the information. But that information went to the grave with Marilyn Monroe and the Kennedys. Why is that? Whose interest would it be to keep that quiet? Well, the Kennedy dynasty, right? And the Kennedy dynasty has what? A lot of what? A lot of money and a lot of power. No? Is this Ed Opperman coming up with a crazy theory? Is this Ed Opperman making things up? What do you call it? I was a guest on True and On, right? I'm reading some comments online about, well, I don't believe everything has. You got to take them with a grain of salt. Now, everything I just said to you could find if you did the work. Okay, I'm not making up who Lynn Wood is. You can read his tweets yourself. Okay, you can look up. Geraldo's island in Puerto Rico was called Geraldo Key. Okay, it was near Vieques. Okay, he had a helicopter take him to work every day. Okay, he owned the newspaper. I could find it. You can look it up. You can look up all this stuff yourself. You don't need Ed Opperman making things up. And this part's a theory. He's got this information in 1985, and suddenly, by 1987, this guy's... He leaves in 1985, right? By 1987, he's not working for 2 years, not making any money. But by 1987, now he's producing shows. Geraldo, the talk show in the afternoon, right? And by the way, too, I actually went to that talk show, by the way. I attended in the audience 2 times because my girlfriend used to be able to get tickets to go to Ricky Lake and all that stuff, and Geraldo and any of the shows in New York. They were all filmed around 57th Street, around the same place. And then we would go to Victor's Cafe afterward and we get some good Cuban food. So we were familiar with the process. Go in, they tell you, oh, clap and do this, but you got to be quiet. If you have a question, wait till the break, and then raise your hand. They'll come over and we'll prepare you for the question. You can't just stand up during the thing, start yelling out questions. Same process in every show, except for Geraldo Rivera. And Geraldo Rivera, at the beginning of the show, you'd walk in and they'd seat you down. And they'd say, no, leave that one empty. Leave that seat empty. That one's reserved. And then a few minutes before filming, about 8 beautiful girls would come walking in, right? 19, 20 years old, and sit in those seats. These were spotters, in the audience, seat fillers, women who got to ask questions, ringers, okay, models that were brought in to sit in the audience there for Geraldo. By the way, too, an interesting story about how you could look it up in my archives about David Copperfield, who had a similar process, too, of targeting women in the audience and offering them opportunities and taking them to his island. Okay? So, 1985, the story gets buried. By 1987, he's got all this money now. He's producing his own show on TV. He's got a helicopter. He's living out this wonderful, I think it was in New Jersey at the time he was living. You know, they need helicopter in every day to work back and forth. And he's got bought a ownership in a newspaper, mansion here, big giant mansion. This guy went from unemployed to loaded. Suddenly, he's rich enough. Let me see what time we got here. Oh, take a little commercial break. What do I say? I say we'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Tina Helmuth is writing an ongoing series of fact-fiction books that boldly takes on today's most heinous crimes. Suffer the Little Children, The Wrath of the Father, and Unbreakable. Deeply researched and mixed with the supernatural, good versus evil makes these thrillers hard to put down. Available at lulu.com in paperback or ebook.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents, they handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. Hey, don't forget our new sponsor, SilkCityHotSauce.com. They sent me 8 bottles of hot sauce, man. It's always great, okay? It's definitely not too hot, that's for sure. Some's really hot, but, but a lot of it's really good. And if you go to SilkCityHotSauce.com and you put in promo code ED, you get a free bottle of hot sauce. And these are really big bottles of hot sauce, too. And the other thing, too, is you get 15% off your order. So we're talking about Geraldo Rivera, and you got to check out his book called Exposing Myself. It came out in the 90s. Now, in one of these stories, right, a lot of these involved young girls that worked for him. All right? I'm going to read you one of these stories. All right. About a boiler room where we would go and have sex every day. I think this was at in the Geraldo show. It could have been ABC. I discovered the room on an impulse born of necessity. By the way, he has this flowery way of writing that he's just so full of himself. It's disgusting. I discovered the room on an impulse born of necessity. I had two cute and young women working for me at the time, college co-eds from out of town who were infatuated with the television news business and their proximity to the local star of the day. They were attractive and dedicated, and after a short time, the infatuation became mutual. On one unusually slow news day, things heated up to where all indications suggested an urgent need for privacy. We found it in the boiler room, and from that day forward, the three of us would regularly disappear there. All we had in the way of furniture was a chair, which made our entanglements daunting and creative, but we were always up to the challenge. Then he goes on to talk about how he took these two women to that same boiler room to celebrate the birth of his baby. He felt he deserved it. Okay, now, a lot of people know the name Cece, his wife Cece. Well, he met her. She was an assistant working for him when they got together. Then when he got tired of her and he was cheating on another young lady with her, the other woman came to work for him and became his assistant, and Cece was divorced, you know. Just some real low-life behavior from this guy who has no boundaries. He's got no boundaries. And somehow now today, this life of no sexual boundaries has taken him to a place where he's living now in Ohio, Shaker Heights, the stomping grounds of Lex Wexner. He's hanging out with Mr. Donald Trump, 15-year-long friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He's defending Harvey Weinstein. He's defending Matt Lauer. He defended Ailes, Roger Ailes, at Fox News. I stand with Ailes. Okay? And by the way, when he was having the affair with his wife Sherry, Cece was working there too in 2020. This must have happened all in 2020 with this thing with these two girls. Hey, and he's defending now Ghislaine Maxwell, saying, well, she'd be out on bail. I don't have any quote of what he said about Dershowitz, but I'm sure it's pretty much up there, the same type of defense. And once again, too, I was talking about that TrueAnon. There's some TrueAnon comments where there's claims that I gave a full-throated endorsement of Dershowitz. Okay, I would love to find anything close to any kind of endorsement or acceptance of Dershowitz and his behavior. I'm the guy who first reported, okay, the young man, I'm the guy who first reported that Dershowitz was in a lawsuit over these allegations with him, and he paid to sell to them. In fact, I took a picture of it. I post it all the time. So you should listen to what I say, and what's rattling around in your head. Anyway, that's quite a bit on Geraldo Rivera, right? And we've only got about 10 minutes left. And I wouldn't mind telling you, okay, that I had kind of a rough day today. Okay, we had a real scare today. Yesterday was New Year's Eve. I was supposed to be a guest on a podcast starting at 11 p.m. So, I had a long day, my usual day working. I had taped a couple of shows and doing what I got to do. And so I said, well, let's go out and grab a cup of coffee and a sandwich so I'll be awake for this freaking thing tonight at 11 o'clock. And then I contact them. They say it's 4 hours long. So I'm waiting for 11 o'clock to come. And I'm sitting here in this chair. I'm drinking this coffee. And I ate some almonds. And I couldn't stay awake. I couldn't stay awake no matter what I did. I just couldn't stay awake. And I wound up just passing out. And by the time I woke up, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't call them up. I was too, but I had contacted them. They said, listen, if you can't make it tonight, it's okay. So I don't feel too bad because I was really, really sick at that point. And I go to lie down, and I get this acid reflux and this heartburn. It was so bad, I couldn't even lie down because it was all coming up, So, I got the little pills you take and the, Alka-Seltzer, I got all this stuff, the Mylanta, I got all that stuff. I keep it all the time because it's a common thing with me. But this was worse than ever before. And another thing that was happening is that the inside of my mouth felt all yucky. And if I would nod off a little bit, especially when I sit in the chair, if I'd nod off a little bit, the sides of my tongue I'd wake up to a painful throbbing in the sides of my tongue. And, so then finally, the medicine fully kicks in, I'm lying on my left side, I know all this stuff I got to do, but then this tongue thing was really weird. I ate melon that day too, by the way. I ate melon. It was one of the things that made me sick. The only thing I ate yesterday was some melon and almonds. But my point is this. I wake up the next day, and I says, you know what, man? I don't feel right. I think I got a fever. And I Google symptoms of COVID-19. Acid reflux is one of them. And I Google, and it says the pain in the sides of the tongue is another one of them. So I run out, I get a thermometer, and I got a fever. 99.4. The highest was 99.6. So, and I had already taken some ibuprofen. So I says, the ibuprofen is lowering my temperature. Who knows what my temperature could be, 101 or 100 over 100, which is then, a real serious symptom of you got COVID. So I ran down to try and get tested. Testing places closed because it's New Year's Day. Everybody has to go out drinking the night before on New Year's Day. By the way, man, up in Tybor, which is only another 45 minutes north of Tampa, they had a big freaking street party up there, man, where everybody was right up in each other's faces, bumping into each other, dancing in the streets, talking to each other. What the hell, man? So here I am, terrified that I caught this thing. I can't get the test in time. Me and Vic are leaving here on the 9th for a 10-day road trip, okay? The whole thing's not a road trip. We have to stay a couple of days there in D.C. and help her pack and move. But, God forbid, what would happen? So I had her looking around today for Airbnbs to go put her in there. We totally isolated each other. She stayed in a room. I went out to go get the thermometer and to look for the testing, and I'm checking my temperature every 5 minutes. Well, she cleaned out her whole room, washed all her bedding and stuff like that, disinfected the whole house. I picked up some cans of Lysol and wipes and stuff like that. We disinfected the whole counters. When I came back, I wore a mask. I went straight to my room and I blocked myself in. So, I took a couple of naps because I didn't sleep at all last night. And my fever, now I'm back down. My temperature's back down to normal. Okay? So I think it was just, I was having stomach trouble yesterday, not just acid reflux, but just something odd with my digestion. So I think this was just that, We're going to get tested tomorrow and find out. But I got to tell you something, man. If you think you got this, it's terrifying, And just don't even think of yourself being lazy and not wearing a mask because you got your rights and civil rights and stuff. Think about, your family members that you're going to come back home and infect your family members, and maybe have to, especially if something like this, and you have to send them out to live someplace else. You can't send them to live with a relative. I got to let you know a little hint. You can't send them out to live with a relative because they'll infect the relative. Okay? You either got to stick them in a motel, or you go to a motel and leave your family there to clean the house. Or what? It's a terrifying, terrifying thing to be involved with, guys. And you should really think twice before you don't social distance. These morons down here in Florida, you just want to smack them in the head. And there was a whole thing, too, here down at the Villages, which is where all the old retired Trump supporters are, where there aren't enough vaccines for them now. And some of them got the first batch of vaccines, and the second batches aren't going to be back in time. It's a disaster. And one of the doctors down here who runs the local medical clinic gives an interview and starts talking about the number of deaths he's had with his cases he's diagnosed. And his numbers are way higher alone. Just this one practice is way higher than the website has. So the numbers down here are being all shenanigans. And it's a really scary situation. You don't want to get into this, guys. Now, coming up next, is a really good show. It's Mike King, who's this retired cop. I'm going to be on his show. When I told him after the show, he contacts me, right? And he says that, Ed, you should come on my show for 5 minutes and we'll promote this to send traffic over to your show. He's written this book called Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zion Society cult, which in Utah was about, they rescued 30 little kids, but let me tell you, it sounds like this guy was operating kind of out in the open. Ogden, Utah is not some kind of tiny little town where you can hide. Okay? This, trust me. Anyway, so he wants me to come on as a guest on his show. And I says, I got this great story about Hunter Biden laptop, and I was the investigator in the Epstein case. And now forget it. Come on for 45 minutes. Come on. Listen to this tape first and then come back on. All right, dude. All right, so coming up next is Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zion Society cult. It's a kind of a rough show to listen to. Then after that, we have comedian Stacey Pressman, who's running for was running for mayor of New York City on the Libertarian ticket, and she's got an idea about like using the health department grading system to grade restaurants and bars on how well they're maintaining coronavirus protocols, and it's a really good idea. So anyway, that's next. I'll see you guys. A lot of great content coming up on Patreon tomorrow, because I'm also going to put up a whole bunch of those shows that are ad free. So a good way to support me right now is Patreon. You get this show for $3 a month, ad free. $5 a month, you get those old archive shows and stuff, special archive shows, and then you got the new content I put up every month, every week. Now, I know I missed a little bit last week. Last week we had Christmas and stuff like that. I couldn't even do the Christmas night show. I was just too tired. But I got a big trip coming up, I got to get Vic up there. Got to get back here. Got to pack. Got to move to the new place. I'm not even confirmed to the new place yet. So, if you can donate or something like that, or you want to help out by coming to Patreon, you can always help by sharing and retweeting. Oh, man, I just screwed up the... Oh, no. I can stop playing it. No, I can't. Let me see. My keyboard... Okay, we're fine. My keyboard hit the other keyboard because I got two computers in front of me. Neither of them work a damn. Okay? But anyway, if you want to support, there's a couple of donate buttons we got on the operamanreport.com. But a good way to support is Patreon, because you get new content. You get extra content. And you can pay a year in advance, too, because we got a ton of expenses coming up. Okay, thank you so much. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. And please, guys, make sure you social distance and you wash your hands and stuff, man, and wear that mask, because it's terrifying if you think you got this. And it's terrifying for your family. Good night.